Hello, this is talking about creating activities and visits in the Makura Activator account. Right now I'm actually in the visit screen, but I'm going to head over to activities here. And in activities, I'm actually going to create or add a new activity. So I'm using the 6300 Heineken Mystery Shop as the sample activity that we're going to create. This file here was provided to me by David, and we're basically going to try and take all this information that we have here, what we can, and transfer it into the system. So activity name would be the Heineken Mystery Shop. We're going to put the number in there too so it's easier to follow. 6300 Heineken Mystery Shop is our activity name. A date says March 2nd, 2015. I'm going to take that up to June 2nd, just because we're in forward dates. We're going to have the activity take place on the same date, and we'll move it through to September 2nd. So it's a 90-day activity. The number of visits is not identified in this document here, so I'm going to assume that somewhere along the way people are familiar with what the number of visits are. We'll have to come up with a system to manage that. But for right now, the number of visits really isn't a drastic number. I'm going to place it at 1,000. If you exceed the 1,000 visits, the system will not allow any more activities any more visits to take place in it. You receive warnings saying that the number of visits has exceeded. So this is a mystery shop, which we can select this from our activity type. I suggest that this here would expand, but I assume that these are all of your activities here. I've seen a need that maybe some additional activities might come in. Our system will allow you to add new activities through the back end. Activity description for activator. This is kind of an open field here, 250, but your in-store task here is well above 250 in this document, so I'm not sure what the items are here. I think again that this might need to be improved a bit. So if I were to take all of this here, copy it, anytime you're copying documents over and pasting them into a CMS system, you need to make sure that you bring them through a text editor so that you can clear all the formatting. So I have this in here. I'm going to go to clear map, and I'm just going to make sure that I turn it into plain text. That way I'm not dragging any bad information over from a website or from a document. No formatting that I don't want into the system. So looks like there's a little misspelling right there. I'll take care of that. Anyway, ops exec. I don't see where your document over here is telling us who the ops exec is. So again, I'm assuming the person that would normally be entering this would have this information at hand. Same with data, add a list, internal notes. We could say activators are required. Again, I'm just grabbing some information. Because I'm copying and pasting this data, I need to bring it over and clear it, make sure that it's plain text before I paste it into the system. And the status is, in this case, I'm going to say it's in planning. So that's activity details, client cost. We have to select our client. Here it mentions the client name. So I'm going to select Heineken from my list. Client contact. I see a client contact number. This information should come in from the client system. It's like pre-populated if it was there, because the clients haven't been fully integrated into the system. That information isn't popping in. The charge per visit, I'm just going to select an amount. Total value of the calls, I'm just going to, again, select, there were 1,000 visits, so total activity value, POS. Again, not sure what the total value is, but I'll give it a range of 15,000. These numbers aren't really tracked. The system's not predicated on it. If the numbers are exceeded through the system right now is not taught to flag anyone as to whether or not we've exceeded these values. So they're really just something that you're using internally. So we'll go to next. Here's our visits, maximum visits to be allocated per activity. Let's take a look. Maximum of 80 activators, 25 visits a day. So max visits to be allocated per activity, just say 80. And minutes, the activator will get paid for 60 minutes, 90 minutes in call. Maximum minutes to be allocated per activity, 90 times 1,000, 90,000. So PSO dispatch home, if possible. Not sure if this is multiple selection. It's a single selection. This might be. I'm not sure how this is. How this affects the system. But if we're selecting home here, I'm assuming that in the visits, the system is going to want you to be placing in the address for the activators. So the system may not allow an activator to be nominated for this particular activity through a visit because you have the POS selected as home. Whereas potentially if we just say none, that may flag that. But if you say home, that means that the system is only going to be nominating activators that allow for POS systems to be delivered to their home. So that's probably a key system if you're having issues getting activators nominated or having the system nominated activators. You might come back and take a look at that. So activator details. This is another issue with the system. The system is trained to basically look for these things here. So I'm selecting the activator. The distance to the store, I'm going to say any because we have very few activators in the system. And right now, if I selected one of these distances, the smaller distances, the likelihood of us finding an activator in the system currently under any of these here would be slim to none. But by me selecting any, then that means any activator in the system is actually qualified to be nominated. Either the system automatically nominating them, or if someone forced the nomination in, it would go through. A forced nomination shouldn't be looking at these anyway. So again, we're going to look at activity experience, and you're able to select more than one item here just by holding down your control key. You can select multiples, so individuals, multiples. I'm not sure, but based on this information over here and my inexperience with what the activity experience is related to these jobs, I'm really not sure what activity experience you would need to have to be a mystery shop. But I'm just going to go through here and see if I can use my common sense a bit here and say that you could be a mystery shopper if you've dealt with demonstrations, if you've dealt with merchandising, mystery shop, obviously. If you've dealt with sampling, you could probably do mystery shopping. Team leaders probably have enough experience and common sense to do this. So I'm going to go into the sectors and we'll say cash and carry. If they've dealt in convenience stores, if they've dealt in grocery, high streets, let's see, probably mobile phone stores. Let me have a look. Shopping centers, just, and then let's say they have to have the minimum of the health and hygiene cert, and that should be it. Let's see, we want to have the Heineken Mystery Shop accreditation for sure. So basically, we've gone through all 4 of the tabs, filled out all of the data, and we are done. we're just going to submit. Oh, I forgot to call. I'm just going to add a number. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next. Next. And submit. So now we have our activity. It's in the system, and you can see how the action buttons here are kind of skewed. That's because I have my window scrunched here to feed all my windows in, so that's not an issue. But what I need to do now is just save this number. So I'm going to copy this number, and just for the heck of it, we'll click through here. This is, if I needed to go back and edit it, I would click on this action button. This obviously deletes it, and if we click on here, it just views an overview. Sorry about the error, we'll have to take a look at that. So anyway, once we have the activity in, just curious to see if, let's go back. Where's the error? So basically, the database is being updated with all the CSV information that was handed to us over the weekend. So the database is kind of off limits, which is why I'm getting this error. A lot of the information that I just stuffed into these lines isn't being stuffed into the lines, as we can see here. So that's why we're getting this error. This error message will not appear as of tomorrow when we complete that task. If I look at another activity, I put this 56 boots in earlier today, and it went through fine. And if I look at this here, that's kind of an overview of that activity. That's what we'd expect to see in the activity we just created. So if I jump back here, again, I copied the activity number because I'm going to need this activity ID number to create a visit. So to create the visits, I'm going to jump over to the visit section, and I'm now in visits. I'm going to create a multiple branch visit. Add single branches if you just have one location. This is to repeat a previous visit of any location amounts. We would click in here, but right now we're just going to add the multi-branch visit. Here I need to enter that ID number. That's why I copied it, so I'll paste it here. I've already prepared a file, which is this file here. And if I bring it up and just kind of show you what we have the store ref numbers. So if we look at the mystery shop doc that was given to me, I have a branch list here. I'm using the store ref numbers that are inside the document that was supplied to us. Then we have the fascia. If you see the fascia name over in this document, we're grabbing fascias from here. We don't need store names at this point. Just the fascia, the name on the store, because the branch ID numbers will match inside our system. So we don't need to bring in all of this data that we're seeing here. It's assumed that that data is already in the system. So all we're doing is placing in the fascia, the name on fascia, and a store number. Our system, as it brings in the stores, will check this number, make sure that it matches this fascia name. If it doesn't, it will report an error, and the admin will have to go in and solve the problem before it can allow the visit to go. And it'll just keep clocking through all of these to make sure everything's okay. Then we have these groups. So a group is related to the groups is related to the visits. I'll get to that in a minute, but you can see Group A, these two stores have identical objectives. Here we've nominated an ID before we've even imported into the system. We know the name of this activator. So these first 5 stores, we knew which activators we wanted to nominate. The rest of the stores are blank because we don't know which activators we want. So the system will give us suggestions, and from inside the system, you'll see a list of activators that are within that fit all the criteria for each one of these branches here. And you'll be able to go in and click into them, click a few buttons, and send a message which invites them to accept these jobs. And they'll be able to log in through their panels and see what the job information is about, the date, so on and so forth, everything related to the job. And if they like it, they'll save it. So anyway, this is the template that we're going to create here. So you can see it's live store template visit for CSV. So I'm going to choose the file. I have it right here, and I'm going to open it, and I'm going to select this button. I've used this file before, so here it is. So the interesting thing about the system is you can see where the objectives came in. Objective A, B, C, D, E, and F. So there's multiple objectives here. Or there's two A's, two B's. That's just because of the locations. The stores really don't care about that. As long as we have A through F, A, B, C, D, E, F. So we've got those in our system. So those are the groups, sorry. The A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I is each one of the objectives. We have to manually put the objectives in here. We can't bring it in currently through the upload process, but eventually we'll have that managed. But in this first phase, we're just bringing in the key elements so that we can set the structure up on the pages. So as we can see, we have this information here. When I click into the commercials, I have to enter these details in. None of it came from the activity. So the time and call, we'll see if we can get that from, here's our mystery shop. So we'll go back to our brief, and it says 60 minutes in call. So I'm going to say my time and call is 60 minutes. A base pay, I'm just going to give it a number. Compliance pay, again, I'm just going to give it a number. The date of the visit was June 2nd. The start date and the end date was 9/2. These two dates were set in the activity. We can reset them here in the visits, obviously. If you want to just change the visit criteria, if you were to go back into the activities and change these dates, every visit in the system that was associated to that activity, the dates would change there. So because the system allows you to create one activity and then add visits to it at will, it's always better to change the dates in the visit section here and not worry about the range in the activity. You will have a problem in the activity once you exceed the end date, and then that'll force you to go back into the activity and extend the end date, or just create a new activity with new start and end dates. So select the working hours. I'm just going to pick Monday through Friday. Time specific, I'm going to say 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. It's a 60-minute assignment, so you wouldn't want to confuse anyone and say 2 to 4, for example. But this is not this is not being authenticated in any way. We're not comparing the numbers here. It's free text. So enter mileage paid. I'm just going to say that that's there. If you didn't have mileage paid, leave it blank. Travel time, we'll just say there's no travel time paid. Distance, we selected any. All of this information carried over from the activities, so you don't have to really enter anything here. I made all of these selections when I created the activity, though I can go in and change these at any time for this specific visit if I need to customize it. Same with these. I selected these in the activity. They automatically came in with the visit. The branch locations, there's nothing showing here because we uploaded the CV with the branch locations in it, and you'll see where they're showing in a minute. What we have this for is if you decided that you wanted to bring in a new list of locations at this point. Maybe someone walked into the room and said, hey, you know, Charlie, I have 3 more branches we need to add to the list. You could bring them into your spreadsheet over here, create the 3 new branches, and bring in the whole spreadsheet, or just have a new spreadsheet with just, you know, the 3 new branches, add to the existing list and hit submit. And it would add to the list. Or you could hit overwrite existing here. If you select this option here, create the new file, anything in the new file is going to completely overwrite the old branch list, will just disappear. So this adds to the existing list, this replaces the existing list. So anyway, that's the story here. As far as commercials, what we'll do is, so this here is the A is, I can take this just as an example. What we'll do is grab all of this again. Just want to put some data in. So I'm going to clear it here, make sure it's cleansed of any formatting we don't want. So I'm just, again, going to just throw some data in here so that we have descriptions for each of our this obviously isn't correct, but I think that you'll see, or your team will have a better idea of what information should actually be added into these description blocks. And I think it requires a little bit of thought on how to set up these this document over here initially. As you can see that the information is pertinent. So anyway, what we now have is all of our, excuse me, all of the descriptions added to the objectives. So we've now created a visit with 15 locations for 6 groups, I think, that has 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 objectives. So again, a little bit of spelling issues. So anyway, that's the deal there. To save the things, we have to go to the last button. That's kind of a, let's say, a security feature that keeps people from accidentally saving stuff. It kind of forces them to go to an in location and say, yeah, I want to submit this. So with any luck, we'll get it in. So our visit is now in. This is the Heineken Mystery Shop here. And if I click on the list, it will go to the details of the visit, and you'll see that the system is now showing us the 6 groups. Each group has locations in it that have the exact same excuse me, criteria. So the criteria is defined by these objective codes. So group A has 9 objectives, group B has 8 objectives, group C 7, so on and so forth. And a couple of these even had 2 calls on the same objective, so using the keys. So basically, some things about your list here. These are your visit IDs, so this is location based. For this visit only, it shows there's 9 objectives. Remember, I was saying 8 objectives for B. C had what, 7? So you can see 6 objectives, 5 objectives. Then when we look at the activator IDs, we've color coded these. So when you see red, that means that the system has, well, you guys in the system, we said that we were going to put number 26 in there, if you see here. So we can see that activator number 26 has been invited to this. And you can see that activator 13 has been invited to this group. But then here we have a different group, and we have the 3 activators that were pre-nominated are showing there. The reason they're in red is because they haven't accepted the job, but the system has sent it. So that's what it's telling us there. If we look here at this action icon, the cart, that's actually the booking cart. And if you click on it, we can see that in that particular person, that the person's name is Tess Makura, and this is the branch ID. It doesn't show his distance, but that's probably because in many of these test activators that were set up, they're not using proper zip codes, and we're using Google API. So if the zip code is not recognized, it's not going to be able to do the distance to store. And you can see the statuses here. So what happens if we book them? So please select this box so we can forcefully book this. We don't even have to wait for them. We know that Tess Makura wants the assignment. So we force the booking, and we can see now that this job is complete as far as that goes. So Tess has now been booked for it. They could do the same thing from their end. When they receive the notification, they can log in, hit their book button, and it'll automatically assign them to the booking. If you'd like, we can actually change this color to green or to another color so it stands out more than with, say, the pending statuses. But we can see that he's accepted it here. So that's good. If you can see right here, this is the key code numbers. This is the activity name here. These key codes are changing from here. This A, this is B, this is A, B, C, D, E, G, H, I. Notice there was no F. The difference between the two groups is this group also has objective F in it. So how do we figure out exactly what these key codes are? We click on this badge right here, which shows us the legend on the key codes. So if we click on that, it shows us what all the activities are. This is the descriptions of the activities. The activator sees this as well, obviously. And up here, it shows us that same group number that we were looking at. All of the details in a key code, and it tells us the key code objectives, which are time and call, base pay, all of this information here is related to the key codes. So that basically is what's happening there as far as the key codes are concerned. So you can click in here, and we can edit this single store right here. This doesn't edit the group, but it edits the store. So anyway, in this section here, you're editing just a single location, not all the locations, and it's basically the same panel that was used to create a visit is editing the visit. If we go back to the previous page, if you want to edit the whole group, like all of the branches in this group, then we click this edit button here, and then any changes we make on any of the tabs will edit the entire group. It says edit visit group as opposed to edit group. So if I go back a button, I can see that I'm back on the page. You can do that for any group, any single branch in the system can be managed that way. If you wanted to change an attribute for all of the groups, then you would have to go back to the visit list. So if I click into visits here, and if I went into the edit right here, and I edited anything in this view, see it says groupings here. If I edited the groups here, that's how we would edit the entire group. Let me see, that's not what I was expecting to see. So this is the, to edit the groups.
Is that it? Nope. Oh, come on, no.
To review the status on the visits for editing the main. Let me see.
Not white lines. Okay. They're blue lines.
I'll have to look into what the situation is for editing the main group, the group as a whole. I think actually, I'm sorry, create new group and amend groups is what does that. So if we selected amend groups, we don't have this functionality in place at the moment, but if we were to take and select the amend groups, select all the buttons here, by selecting the groups here, it grabs everyone in the list and hit amend groups, then we would be able to change all of the group details as a whole instead of within a single group or a branch within the actual group. So that's basically how we manage that. And that is the end of our visits tutorial.
Please calm down and I'll